All right, and good afternoon. Welcome back to the KYCA studios, the JP Mulligan studio, live from KYCA Radio. And we're back for another month of jocularity, frivolity, and good Lord, who knows what else. Jason Zinzilieta sitting with you here on KYCA PM as the panel of all knowledge convenes once again. Phil, don't look at me like that. Come on. This is serious stuff here. Folks, if you want to know the answers to all life's questions, you're looking in the wrong place. So instead, we're going to do our best to answer what we can. And with me is the fount of all knowledge, three people who I lovingly refer to as the Stooges, but you folks have your own opinions, and that's fine.
Grumpy old men.
There we go.
We just agreed on that.
I know. I have my own thing. So
Socrates said he knew nothing.
There you go. Well, folks.
As did Sergeant Schultz.
Exactly. Same thing. Folks.
I know nothing.
Already we're off to a start, and we're, let's see, 1 minute in? That's it, folks. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Okay.
But honestly, folks, to quote Orson Welles many, many years ago, ladies and gentlemen, gather the kids, the dog, grandma, lock them in another room, and get ready. Because here we go. Around the table, once again, as usual, once a month, we go to my left, Bob Recker of The Bob Show.
That's right.
Thanks for coming in.
You bet.
Who have you got coming in next week, Tuesday?
I've got Clyde Neville coming in from the Main Street Theater out in Prescott Valley.
Okay.
He's going to tell us how he's spending the money and what kind of events are going on there, and how it's community focused. That's the whole purpose.
All right, we're looking forward to that.
Yep.
Thanks for coming in. Across the table from me, just out of arm's length, thank goodness for his sake, is Malcolm Barrett Jr. Malcolm in the morning, Thursday morning. I believe you have a guest coming in this week.
I do. I've got Dennis McGrain, who is the new county attorney.
All right, we're looking forward to that.
And he's a 22-year veteran, and he is probably the second best bad guy hunters and prosecutors in Yavapai County history. The first being Sheila Polk.
Yep, and we certainly do miss Sheila, that's for sure.
Yes, but Dennis is going to uphold the tradition, and I think everybody will be proud of Dennis.
I know him from the courts. He's top notch.
I believe he's been a deputy county attorney for some time now in the office.
Sheila hired him when she was elected.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
He's been there almost as long as Sheila.
So he's ready to go.
He knows the ins and outs then. That's great.
He knows where the bodies are buried.
All right. We'll grill him on that one.
We already had that
morning.
story before with the body parts out in Williamson Valley.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, was that guy an idiot or what?
Okay.
All the bones had serial numbers on them. Come on, really? That didn't take Colombo to find that one.
Okay.
Okay.
And we're off to a good start, folks. Once again, this is good, wholesome family fun. And then across the table from me is the Dean of the Morning Meetings and the Monday morning host, Phil King. Thank you for coming in, Phil.
My pleasure, as always.
And again, I'm very sorry to inflict you with all this.
Quite all right. I'm used to them.
Got a lot to cover,
Only
but
known each other 43 years.
Yeah. All right. Well, I would like to start, if you don't mind, with something that you just brought up, and that is the death of Mr. Ed Villaborgi over the weekend.
Yeah.
Mr. Villaborgi is the first teacher I met second teacher I ever met at Prescott High School when we moved in 1986. He was my history teacher, and just an outstanding and wonderful individual. Knew him all the time from that point.
You were in high school in 1986?
Feel old now?
Oh, jeez.
All right. My job's done.
Okay.
Got him.
But anyway, Phil, you knew Ed for a long time, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Our kids ran together.
Yeah. Ed was really something. Just a fantastic person.
Super guy.
Even
Old Prescott. We keep, getting fewer.
Yeah.
True.
Norb Wiedepol is a good friend of Ed's.
Yeah.
And Norb's still around.
Yeah.
And it's good to know.
Yeah. Old Prescott is disappearing, but it's still fantastic when you run across some people, and it's good to hear people who remember Old Prescott too.
Yeah.
Malcolm, did you know Ed very much? Or?
I didn't know Ed very well. I would run into those guys occasionally when they were meeting at Kendall's.
Yeah.
And then they moved into Frozen Franny's for a while, and I don't know where they are now, but that was Bill White and Fred Lindquist when he was still out and around, and and the football coach.
Oh, goodness.
That's right.
Yeah. I can't remember, but
yeah,
but the Villaborgis knew.
I told you.
Hi, who are you?
Yeah, that's it.
I think I know you.
Well, there you go. And the Villaborgi family, just wonderful people all the way up and down. So, folks, our thoughts are with you, with the Villaborgis, and in the wake of Ed's passing. He was, well, to me, he'll always be Mr. Villaborgi.
There you go. That's right.
You know,
It's like Mr. Wyant.
exactly.
Exactly.
Yes.
Ugh.
Well, let's go ahead and get started here before we lose our mojo here, folks. 928-541-1016 if you dare. I wouldn't, but that's just me.
Oh, stop it.
Come on.
Stop
How
it.
are we going to fill the time?
I'm stuck with you guys, so what can I do? Okay, let's get started because there's a lot going on here in the community. We've got the election coming up, but let's start with taxation because I know, Malcolm, I know you've been chomping at the bit at this all day.
Oh, yes.
It was the topic of conversation at 7 o'clock this morning, and it's still going on.
It has been, especially when we talk about the proposed open space acquisition by the city in the interests of preserving the sanctity of our airport and the general safety. And we now look at the state legislature proposing to eliminate two taxes which represent roughly 18% of the entire general fund budget, or sales tax. Income.
Correct.
Which would be the rental tax and the food tax.
Okay, so the state is proposing. This is in the House, I believe you
Yes,
said.
House bills.
Okay, so
State House.
two House bills. One that would remove. It's about what 1.5% on the food tax, 2% somewhere in there.
2%.
Cities at 2, I think.
Okay.
The cities too.
And then the rental tax is 15. Is that right? A 15% tax?
No, 1%.
1%. Excuse me.
It's
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What you meant is that's 15% of our income.
Correct. Right.
For the city of Prescott, and then
18% between the two.
between the two.
Okay, and 18% between the two, and you've got it's a combined total of $8 million a year.
Okay.
Between the two.
First question is, I guess, in such a close legislature, I think the key question on any legislation that comes through is this something that Katie Hobbs would sign?
Yeah, absolutely. She backs it because of the tax on food hurts the poor people.
What about the rental tax?
Same thing.
Again, it's lower income.
Right.
It's a tax on lower income
Ostensibly.
people because, it's a pass-through no matter what you do. Yeah. Now, a little bit of history about the sales tax on food. City of Prescott implemented it in the late 80s because at the time we had the only grocery stores and shopping, and we had all the people coming from the surrounding area of the county placing the demand of the city infrastructure, the streets, the roads, fire, police, etc. And the only way of sharing that burden was with the sales tax on the things people came to town to buy, which primarily was food.
Yeah.
And we, along with, I think, 69 other communities in the state of Arizona, do have a sales tax on food.
Okay.
And it
the
comprises...
the state does not, but
The state does
cities
not.
were allowed to continue it and have it, and Prescott was one of those.
And this will supersede anything that the cities have done and eliminate it statewide.
Correct.
Okay. So the question is, if this passes, and I'm going to throw this to you, Mr. Bob Recker, former city councilman, where do you make up the money? Is it possible?
If Mark Woodfield's watching the show or listening to the show, I'd love for him to call in and explain to us
if you dare
what the impact is really going to be, because he knows.
Yeah.
And we talked about this way back when we were on council.
Every budget year it comes around, it's gloom and doom, and we're gonna we're gonna lay off police and fire, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. God forbid we would cut spending in other places.
Yeah, well, there's going to have to be a list come out as to what we're going to have to cut back, because I don't know how you make it up.
Right.
Well, before we talk about cutting back, let's talk about how our forecasted revenues have exploded over the last 4 years,
Yes, they have.
including COVID. So let's compare what our spending has been today and projected versus 4 years ago. And we're talking about a 30 to 40% increase in sales tax revenues.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it?
So what kind of losses are we really talking about versus if we scale back to, say, spending in 2020?
Depends on what the priorities of the budget managers are.
Correct. And what
Whether
should those be?
Those should
Ex-past councilman Phil King.
basic service.
We ran the same year and we pounded it. Basic services, period.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're
Anything
looking
else
at,
is fluff.
and you're looking at necessary expansion of police and fire departments.
Correct.
To keep up with
That's
the
the part of
demand.
basic services.
And that's where they need to focus, not on spending tens of millions of dollars buying acreage
and taking it off the tax
Tax
rolls.
rolls.
which
Yeah.
takes it off
Forever.
the tax rolls.
Forever.
And then if you zone out those uses under the other lever of the airport rezone, whatever,
Correct.
then you're facing a takings clause action, and some of those people have the attorneys that can make that stick, and that's going to cost the city some tens of millions
Of course, if
dollars
the offer
too.
price is high enough and you have a friendly condemnation,
That's different.
it wouldn't be a taking.
That's different.
And they agree on a price.
Yeah.
Well, we're assuming now that this is going to make it through the legislature, and you're talking about a 16-14 legislature on a piece of legislation that is both supported and opposed by both parties, by people on both sides.
Now,
Well, Republicans sponsored the legislation.
Yeah. And Republicans support tax cuts.
Right.
And Katie Hobbs wants it to help the poor.
Even the playing field, so to speak.
So
a
it's
little bit.
polar opposites, but yet they're both agreeing on it for two entirely different reasons.
So
It's
we're
going to have a
probably,
huge impact.
it will. There you go. Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and go to a break. With all the fun, I just keep forgetting that we've got to take a break here on KYCA. If you're watching on the streaming side, stay tuned. We're going to have bonus content while the commercials are running on the radio side. So, folks, we'll be back with all of you in just a moment. And we're back here on the streaming side for the bonus content. Aren't you lucky? I don't know if I am. A minute and 30 seconds.
Okay,
Okay,
very
so
good.
in a minute and 30 seconds, what can we say? I'll go back from what I asked Bob. Is there any way to make this up? We're talking budget cuts, correct? We're talking budget cuts at the very least.
Well,
or
possibly, or if the economy expands and
Yeah.
spending expands, which some people say maybe it will, maybe it won't,
Right.
it'll take care of it. I think it's going the other way.
yeah, I think so too.
Well,
in
that's
the next 2 or
that's
3
what
years.
we're all looking at.
Yeah.
And the inflation rate, of course, makes the dollars look different, but the purchasing power and your ability to budget around those increased costs is what hurts.
Okay.
And if you lose that kind of money out of your revenue stream, you'd have to raise property taxes, and to raise another $8 million in the city would just crush the property tax rates.
Before the
So-
show, we were talking about the negative part of interest on debt.
Oh.
You know, and if it goes up,
Yeah.
then everything starts to
Well,
kind of
and-
cascade.
And debt, and it's something we ought to take back up when we get back on the radio side. But they're still paying interest on the internal borrowing of $8 million that they borrowed from other departments in the city that has to be paid back with interest to buy that new city hall building.
I think it was
Oh, wow.
Okay, we're back here on KYCA Radio, 928-541-1016. It's been very interesting on the discussing the taxation. Okay, Malcolm, your point. What were you about to say?
well, interest on the debt.
Yeah, interest on the debt going
The
up.
interest
Yeah.
on the debt of buying the new city hall. I think we paid $500,000 just in the interest on the cost of the new city hall.
Yeah, because they had to pay it back to the other city departments with interest.
Internal borrowing.
Right.
So you're paying interest to yourself.
Yeah.
But look at external interest that all governments are paying
Well,
for
yeah.
borrowed funds, and particularly the federal government.
Oh, don't even-
30% of the federal government budget right now is interest.
It
interest
is.
payments on the debt.
30
And it's not going to
30%.
get better.
No.
Yeah. Could you imagine if 30% of your household income was just to pay interest?
Well, they
I
could
guess
just
if
print
you're
money.
living on well, if you're living on credit cards, I suppose it is.
It is.
True.
And of course, none of us have the monopoly on counterfeiting that the federal government does. So.
Exactly.
What would you do if you could print all the money you wanted?
Well, I have a printer that makes nice
You know
color
what? I'd make-
copies, but the paper isn't right.
I think
Folks,
I'd
he's
get into
just
the
cheating.
Cut the
You're kidding.
cameras. Cut the cameras.
He's
no,
kidding.
I'd get into the cyber currency market.
Yeah, good
See,
idea.
I can do
Yeah,
that.
You gotta have curly hair. And
we don't. They don't talk millions. They talk billions.
Billions.
The-
And billions.
The Malcolm coin?
Oh yeah, let's call it the Malcolm coin. Hey, I promise I'll quit after the first 500 million.
Yeah.
No more. It's limited.
I see the note about Ellie's
Yeah.
call. I'm
Oh.
interested to see what you think of that.
This was interesting. Ellie called and asked if the tax on alcohol can be raised to help offset the loss of the food tax. Interesting concept.
Well, if it's anything like the state taxes on cigarettes and tobacco products,
Yeah.
we know what happened there.
Yeah.
Right.
You increase the cost in assuming that we're going to get all this new money, and guess what?
People start using the commodity.
People
Yeah.
quit buying it.
If you tax it, you get less of it. It doesn't matter what.
Wasn't
It's
the
the
tax
same-
on cigarettes higher than the
Oh, yeah.
cost of the product?
Oh yeah, I
By
think
the
a
time
pack
it
of
all-
cigarettes are $7 or $8 a pack now, and the tax portion of that is like $5.
Ugh.
And if that's not enough to make somebody quit,
Yeah.
Well, and look at the conversations they had about a 50 cent a gallon gasoline tax, federal,
right?
to make people conserve.
Oh,
Right.
That
well, I'm
was the
going
whole
electric.
yeah.
I can
Good
drive
luck.
I can drive for free.
Yeah.
Good luck with
Because
that.
electricity to charge my car doesn't cost anything.
No, that's right.
You just plug it into the
plug it
wall.
in.
Ladies and gentlemen, can you smell the sarcasm here?
Which brings us to the natural gas
God.
moratorium and the
Oh, my goodness.
outlawing of gas stoves,
You
propane grills.
You
That would-
remember? I think her name was Carol Brownlee. She was a secretary of something a long time ago, and she proposed getting rid of grills in your backyard.
Of course.
And she was from California.
Yeah.
And that instantly went nowhere because people immediately said, have her come over, see
Yeah.
if she can get the grill out of my backyard.
Yeah.
You know, that just stopped.
Yeah,
Well,
the
and this is
grill
gonna
police are going
The
to
problem,
get
the
your
problem with
propane.
outlawing any of the natural gas or gas-fired appliances is not only the loss of efficiency and cost, but it's not about the actual burning. But right now, you've got a wire maybe half-inch in diameter.
Yeah.
Imagine that supplying the electric grid. We outlaw all these gas appliances, and all of a sudden, we need a wire 2 inches in diameter.
Yeah. And I can-
How are you going to deliver that if you could even generate the new generation of electrical power with
To meet the-
fossil fuels?
Yes, of course. Natural gas powered generating stations.
That's it. That operate at 50% efficiency rather than 80% efficiency
you
at the
can't-
burner.
And you can't go to the store, honey, because I'm cooking food over here on my electric.
Turn the
And so
TV
you
off,
can't-
honey. We got to grill a steak.
And the fact of the matter is, it's well past the talking stage because
Right.
in New York, in San Francisco,
Yeah.
San Diego, and Chicago, a few others, they actually have programs going now at state expense or at city expense. They're going into these homes with the gas stoves and giving them the electric stove and doing the hookup.
It was like what
And
the
you went-
APS was doing in the electric moratorium in the late 70s, where they were going in and making all electric households and actually giving the builders the electric appliances,
Yeah.
who in turn sold it to the homeowners.
Because of the natural gas moratorium
Right.
that Arizona had in place
Forgot
in the late
about that.
70s.
Yep.
You
Because
you remember.
because our
Yeah.
pipe was
Yes.
too small then.
Yeah.
And now they got the big pipe, they lifted the moratorium, and natural gas appliances, even in the old standard efficiency ranges, is still more efficient than generating electricity
Yep.
and running the electricity for miles and miles and miles. By the way, that's you generated with fossil fuels.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And now you're only at about a 40% efficiency from source to
Okay,
burner tip.
I have a question. If we stop buying cigarettes because of that, will we stop buying booze?
Oh,
For the same reason.
tax at $1 a drink.
Buck a drink.
Sure.
You mean?
I don't
I mean, if you go and buy a 6-pack of beer at Walmart or someplace,
$6.
Dollar a
will
beer.
we stop?
Wow.
Will we stop buying it?
No.
Well, so that's
I
what's
will
gonna
because
happen.
I've already stopped anyway because I can't keep my balance anymore when I do it. I just topple over like a drunken realtor. But that's another story.
The three, what did you call this? Curly, Mo, and
Larry,
and Mal.
Larry.
Yeah,
Curly, Mo, and Mal.
that's it. Curly, Mo, and Mal.
I'm just back here watching.
Yeah. You're going what?
You heat your all electric house, pay that bill.
Yeah.
Oh my
it's-
goodness,
yeah.
dead short heating.
Yes.
Boy, we remember when they used to have the radiant wall heat.
Oh
There
yeah.
were
we had
electric
it.
coils. Dead short heating is you put two electrical wires together and watch them glow red hot, and you said, "Oh, that's heat."
Yeah, that's fine.
And
yeah.
you could heat an 1,100 square foot house for $500 or $600 a month.
That's right.
Wow. Great.
Back in 1980, and you were
Yep,
there, and we
yep,
were there.
Yep.
Wow.
Tried to heat it
Yeah.
with those electric baseboard
Yeah, yeah.
resistors.
No, the baseboard were more efficient than the ceiling heater.
Oh, yeah,
Our
by
kids
far.
still kid around about us. We all had to wear sweaters and jackets in the house because we couldn't afford to heat the house.
Got my first bill 1980, $300.
See, so there you are.
Yeah.
So that was the
You've
end
been
of
burning
those.
wood ever since.
That's right. That was the
Yeah,
end of
everybody used
those.
fireplace. That's right.
Yeah.
You know, I told you we moved into town in 1986. We rented a house up on the west side of town, and we saw these electric baseboard heaters that nobody was using anymore.
Yeah.
My dad, who was a carpenter and built houses, looked at this and said, "What was the purpose of
Yeah,
this? We had no idea about the moratorium
Yeah.
or anything else."
That's
So
why all the homes built in that period were electric.
All electric. And
Well,
all
sometimes-
clean energy.
Social engineering. You never quite know what might happen
Yeah.
because of
Unintended
something. That's
consequences.
the word
And
I'm
they,
looking
and
for.
they always talk about the windmills.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah,
somebody-
we're going to do
Solar.
more solar. We're going to do windmills,
yeah.
and we're not going to do nuclear because
Yeah.
that is really bad.
And
right,
somebody ran the output
Go nuclear,
numbers
go boom.
and what it would take of windmills. And they realized that it would take covering the state of Utah
Yeah.
to replace Hoover Dam.
Yeah. So
Wow. Yeah.
what are the windmills made out of?
Fiberglass and plastic by petroleum.
That's synthesized out of fossil fuels.
Folks, if you're following this, you're a better person than I am. I'm just trying to take notes here, and I give up.
Look at all the plastics on the table here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If we took plastics out of our life, you at home, look around you.
Oh yeah.
Look
True.
at your car if
True.
you're listening
Oh,
on
yeah.
the car.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
What would you do? I would.
Okay, I have
Let's
the answer.
make your
I know what the
iPad
answer
out of
is.
hemp. Can you imagine a hemp iPad?
You know the answer is, you guys. It's
be
coming,
really
and
groovy,
it's
though.
coming. It's fusion.
Yes.
We're going to
fusion.
do fusion.
And
is
I
the
think
answer, ultimately.
I think the nuclear power has to be spun up hard enough and long enough for us to make it to fusion, and that's what the only thing that's
Well,
going to.
we can also do the small modular reactors right now instead of the big massive plants.
Yeah,
and there
exactly.
are several companies competing in that venue right now.
And every city could have its own plant, and off you go.
All right, we're going to take a break on the radio side here on KYCA PM. Hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. We'll be back after this, and if you're watching on streaming, here's bonus content for you. And we're back on the bonus content. Okay, since none of you want to talk about it, let's talk about the Oscars. I'm kidding.
they announced
What?
it today. I didn't even pay attention.
Oscar, he was that
Oscar?
grumpy Muppet guy.
Exactly.
Oh,
yes.
Oscar, wasn't he one of the Odd Couple guys?
Yeah, that too.
Who was the other guy?
That's right.
Felix.
Felix and Oscar.
Okay,
Oscar
we.
I
was
would
the-
watch that.
I would too. Well,
Yes.
that would be something.
Bring back Oscar.
He was the messy one.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
hero.
and that ends the Oscar conversation here at the table. Very quickly, there's a few subjects that I want to cover, and we want to go to national when we come out of the break on the radio side. I want you to contemplate this: the news today that we have another problem in terms of classified documents, in that a dozen documents were discovered in the home in Indiana of former Vice President Mike Pence.
Yeah, of course.
And now,
When they throw the filing cabinets into the banker boxes and ship them off, nobody reads
Nobody
the
knows
stuff
who's in
first.
it.
so
You hire the guys, you say, pick that pile of papers up, put it in a box, take it to my house.
So my question to the whole thing of, goodness, how long does Biden have before he's out has just been negated by Vice President Pence.
Yeah. Sure.
It's a nobody cares issue now.
Well,
everybody's doing it.
Well,
it wasn't a nobody cares issue until Biden was guilty of it or accused of it.
True.
Then all of a sudden it's a nothing burger with Trump. But when they invaded the Trump Mar-a-Lago with the SWAT teams and the FBI and the helicopters and the dogs, I mean, the liberals were saying, we got him now. Yeah. He's going to jail.
Yep.
But just think about it. Some of this stuff's been gone in Biden's case for 14 years, and nobody noticed.
Nobody noticed, exactly.
So how important
what the heck
was it?
That's exactly the point.
I'm not a Corvette fan, but that's a good-looking car.
It is. I love that color.
I didn't know he was capable of backing that son of a gun up.
I know.
That was
years ago.
That was his body double.
Was that an automatic or a manual transmission?
I think all vets are manual.
No, they've got automatic conversions. But I'm missing this.
Sandy is having an adult beverage and thinks the podcast is a hoot.
Good.
Is it a hoot?
A face.
Okay.
Oh.
Back to radio, folks, and thank you for staying with us.
Oh. Is she on? Oh, she is on.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we need to talk
And we're back here on the KYCA radio side. Are you having just as much fun as we seem to be? My goodness. Folks, 928-541-1016, that is the call. And we have a victim. It looks like Sandy's on line one. Do you want to go ahead and bring Sandy in, Scott? Let's see if she wants to go on the air.
Of course she
No?
does.
Okay, but thank you, Sandy, for calling in. She doesn't want to be on the air, but she said she is having an adult beverage and thinks the podcast is a hoot, and she enjoys having a face to put to the voice. As you can see, Sandy, and to everybody else who's watching, this is why we're all in radio. Okay.
We all have the face for radio.
Yes.
However, Sandy is stunningly beautiful. She has the face for live podcast. Where's the camera? I'm smiling.
There we go.
There we go.
Well, let me tell you something, Sandy. Thank you for calling, by the way. Okay, we've got quite a bit more to cover. We've covered taxation. We were just discussing. I'll bring it back up. What the heck? Vice President Mike Pence, I think, negated anything that's going to happen to Joe Biden because Mike Pence had 12 classified documents. Is this the end? Is this the end of the whole thing?
You know what? This whole DocuGate, whatever they want to call it, is way overblown, starting with Donald Trump, because none of those guys know what they have in the attic.
No, of course not. Do we?
No. I can't remember documents I filled out yesterday.
What's unique, though, is that Biden took stuff when he was a senator.
Yeah, that is something, yes.
Yeah,
that's different. And I don't know what the heck he was doing back then.
Well, don't you remember what I think it was with that show called The View?
Yeah.
When Joey Behar, somebody said, "Oh, right when we thought we had him, and now
we had Trump. Now we got this."
Wait a minute, what does one have to do the other?
Their entire existence.
If you're guilty, you're guilty. If not, not. They're not related.
Yeah. Their entire existence is focused on Trump bad. Let's get him.
Yes,
totally.
They see everything
it's called
through that prism.
TDS. And TDS is rampant. Trump derangement syndrome.
And they're so skewed because it affects everything.
Well, you know, the biggest problem with that whole syndrome thing was the Keystone Pipeline.
Yeah.
And now they're quietly admitting that was a mistake.
Yeah.
Think about that. All these years now.
You mean we need that oil so we don't have to buy it from Venezuela?
Wouldn't that be a nice thing?
In Saudi Arabia?
It's a no-brainer.
I've been attacking you for 6 years, and now that you're cutting the oil production back, can we make a deal now?
Oh, it's true. It's true.
It's true.
But we got to be nice to Venezuela, and when their people show up at our southern border, we'll send them back.
Right.
But we'll let everybody from Guatemala in.
Yeah. Well,
but we got to make nice to Venezuela because we're buying their oil.
Oh my goodness.
Huh?
Deranged.
That is reality. I would say the current administration suffers from reality derangement syndrome. That's RDS.
There certainly is a problem there, and of course we see it with the non-existent border. We see it with inflation. We see it with practically everything that they've done. And
just keep on. The hits keep on coming.
Yeah, I don't quite understand why Ducey in his last week of office gave in and started removing the containers. He should have left that for.
There was some odds there.
They didn't start removing it until he was gone. He agreed to it. They started talking about it, but they didn't do anything until the day after the inauguration.
In the federal courts, they had to.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but so
I have a question.
All right.
What are they doing with the shipping containers?
Shipping things, I suppose.
But those they're available for sale because the people that use those figured out it's cheaper to make new ones in China than it is to recondition the ones that are over here, so they wholesale them. Do you think this government this state government is wholesaling them and actually making money on them, or at least breaking even?
No.
Or are they paying a contractor to take them, and then the contractor in turn sells them, and we can have big shipping containers showing up in your neighborhood soon?
And then I heard that the oil thing, the reserve that we were taking all the oil out of, we were putting it in for $24. Now we're buying back oil at $80 to put it back in there, and it's a good deal.
And selling it to the Chinese.
Yeah, and selling it. We sold it at $40. We were replacing it at $80 and selling more to the Chinese
At 40.
Yeah, it's Catch-22. Remember the book?
Oh.
The guy was buying everything for a dime and selling for a nickel and making profit.
Yeah.
That whole thing.
It's a write-off. It's a tax deduction.
Oh my goodness!
By the federal government.
What is the key moment in that movie Catch-22 in your memory?
Well,
remember when he's doing semaphore signaling, the low-flying bomber flying by, and he's out on the float?
I never saw it. So
I never saw it.
Boy.
I read the book a long time.
I never saw it.
Major.
That's right.
Major. He beheaded the guy with the propeller from the airplane.
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you for that visual today.
Well, it is. Yeah. That was Catch-22.
Well, all right. Let's move on,
let's
folks.
get an issue here.
You know what? We're going to take a radio break here, and it's about time as far as I'm concerned. Folks, thanks for joining us on KYCA PM, the final show of the panel of all knowledge. Phil King, Malcolm Barrett Jr., and I don't claim him, and Bob Recker. So this is Jason Zinzilieta, the sane one, saying we'll be back in just a few moments. And we're back on the streaming side. If you're still with us, wow, you're braver than I am.
So we don't get a break with this podcast.
We do not. We do not.
Straight through.
We do not. So you've got to be on your A game. Well, you never have been, and just go there.
I've always been a C+ guy.
Well, we need to relate.
C's mean degrees.
We need to relate the city financial issues to this city council.
Yes.
That's true.
Because they have made some decisions that have left us hanging and are going to cost us an awful lot of money that we don't have.
Well, let's bring that back up in a minute when we go back to the break here, and we'll conclude this segment with the taxation, yes, and the city council. It's important. We need to.
Well, they're related.
Exactly, and let's face it, especially this year, in that we have an election coming up, and it's 5 seats, not 4.
4 council plus the mayor,
Yep.
because of the appointment.
Yep. So the people are getting what they wanted, which was a short appointment and a 2-year election for the 2-year seat. So,
Which is the way we've always done it in the past.
And it should be. It should be.
You were first elected with the 2-year.
With a 2-year term.
Okay. Yeah, and so
Karen was elected. Karen Fan was elected.
Karen and I both that year.
Right.
In 93, 30 years ago.
Oh, gosh. Oh, it was 30 years ago.
It was.
Okay, we're going back to the radio now, folks. Thanks for staying with us here on KYCA.
What is today?
And we're back here on the KYCA PM show. Jason Zinzilieta along with the 3 Musketeers here. I don't know what else to call them. Phil King, Mal Barrett Jr., Bob Recker, all in studio. Let's return now to the city. Phil, you brought up a point. Go ahead.
Well, the point being that the city's financial condition, the potential loss of 18% of the city income.
$8 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's going to need to be dealt with. And the city council that's currently sitting there is looking at spending tens of millions of dollars on wants instead of
versus needs.
Right.
And the needs are the, expansion of the police department, the expansion of the fire department, the water system, roads. We're kind of covered with the road tax, but still the road project.
But the road tax is still short in paying for that.
Correct.
The needs of the road, we're still short.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's a plethora of businesses essentially that the city operates. And those need to be the first priority, not condemnation of land and zoning out pre-approved uses that they're going to have to pay for undertakings. I mean, it's a disaster waiting to happen, and several members of this city council are so myopic on that issue that they can't see the big picture. And that needs to be dealt with by the voters this year.
I believe, let's see, the city operates on a fiscal year of July, June?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're into the budget process now.
Yes.
Correct.
And this is an election year.
Yes.
This is a big thing
And
right
there's
now.
a general plan rewrite going on. You had him on last week.
That's gonna be 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
A 2-year
Getting
process.
that done.
Is this the 2025 general plan that they're working on? Okay.
And that'll have to be voter approved, just like they all are.
Right.
So it's drafted by the committee through a very long process. They cover things pretty well. And then it goes out to the voters to approve or disapprove.
Okay, so this brings up a point. Are we talking about that the city needs to start prepping not only for a loss of tax money, but also the potential of a recession that we are seeing around the corner, which could affect
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
what do they do? 3 former city councilmen. How do you address this? I mean, how do you address the loss of 18% of your revenue, plus the fact that we may be facing a recession, and you're talking about a loss of tourism revenue, sales tax revenue, et cetera?
You protect basic services, and you start looking at everything else.
Yeah.
Everything else.
Everything else has got to be on the
Absolutely.
table.
You write your minimum budget for your basic services, and everything beyond that is discretionary.
Okay.
But we've got to keep our public service employees. We've got to keep our infrastructure employees. We've got to do the minimum street repairs.
Yep.
We've got to keep the water flowing. We've got to keep
Exactly.
sewer services.
Well, we're close enough. How much waste do you guys see in the city? How much real waste do you
Except
see?
for some of those proposals from
right.
some of
This
these
is a
council
well-run
members.
community.
Yeah. Other than that, we're in pretty good shape, but it's going to take a heck of a lot of belt tightening when you lose $8
Well, the
million
mayor's already
of
talking
income.
about, yes, we're even with the PSPRS data we expect to be.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah, that
with the
tax is now
dismal
gone.
performance of the investment board,
Yeah.
and the mayor today is even saying we better build a contingency fund, a reserve fund, because they're probably going to blow it again, and we're probably going to be short in the coming years.
And that means we may have to face another tax, which people might be much more reluctant to pass the second time around.
Well, they're always reluctant for new taxes.
Right.
But we're really limited on, I mean, the city, most cities, as well as the city of Prescott, live and die with the sales tax.
Yeah.
When the economy tanks, that sales tax revenue goes away.
Yep.
And the major portion of that is what? Construction taxes.
Can anybody tell me 2 questions? The Justice Department, or what do we call in the jail? The
Justice Center.
criminal
the
justice
Justice
system.
Center.
Yeah.
When will that be done? And when
This
will
year?
the new city hall be done?
City Hall, I think they're talking about moving in completely by Q2, by June. I think
Okay.
they'd like to be in there by the end of the fiscal year.
That makes sense.
And the jail,
The jail, I
supposed
think
to be done by the end of the year.
Sheriff Rhodes wanted to move in last fall,
Right.
but it wasn't ready. And as I understand, at some point, again in the next few months, if they can staff it,
Yeah.
and that's another problem.
That's partly it. And of
I
course
heard
you
the
got
last number I heard was August.
Okay.
I actually was
I don't
driving
know.
by the other day, and I said, "Hey, the gate's open. Let me go check it out." So I just went
Oh, did
sailing.
ya?
Oh yeah, I went sailing
Yeah,
through the
yeah.
gate, and I was doing a loop around it. And
Maybe the sheriff could give us a call.
yeah, he could if he's
Sheriff, if you're listening, again, you're braver than I am if you're still on the air.
listening. Or a county supervisor.
Or a county supervisor, go ahead and give us a call and tell us when you're thinking about getting into the jail. And next time you see Malcolm going in and taking a joyride, close the gate.
I was tracked down. They
Were you
followed
really?
me down and said, "What are you doing?"
Oh, really?
And my answer was, what are you doing here? It was an electrical contractor who had opened the gate. He was covering his bases.
Gotcha.
So I just faked my way out.
And there'll
said,
be a
"Thank you
couple,
for your service,"
be a
and
couple of
drove away.
courthouses or a couple of courtrooms there to deal with the criminal cases, so they
Right.
don't they're not transporting
Right.
the inmates so much like
Correct.
they have been from the Verde by bus and
Yeah,
had a lot
daily.
of problems.
Well, there'll be some funds saved
doing
there.
that. Oh yeah.
That whole thing was kind of silly to start with.
And that'll end the city jail up here, I believe. That the county facility had been a holding area for a while, I
I think
believe.
they'll still use it for a holding facility.
No, I don't know if they're going to use that or the sheriff is going to convert all that jail space to office space
Oh.
with their
I
expanding
think
needs.
the criminal courts will be located at the Sundog
Correct.
facility.
Right.
So they
Oh,
won't
okay,
be
okay,
bringing
okay,
them
of course,
back
yes.
over to the courthouse.
You're
Right.
right. You're right. That's what's
Right,
going to happen.
okay.
Right.
Which is good because the courthouse is over full.
Yeah,
Right now it's crammed.
Yeah.
And,
Never
and
thought-
it'd be
nev-
good to get the space.
Never thought we'd see the days years ago, but now here it is. We
Oh.
need another courthouse.
Some of us
and-
remember when the jail was on the 4th floor and
That's
we
right.
used to stand on the ground and talk to the guys.
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, yeah.
At the courthouse.
Yeah.
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 Those-
At the courthouse. And
yeah.
that was before the sheriff's office was built on Gurley Street.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, yeah,
That
that was
didn't
the
happen
old
till
that was the old
1980.
junior high school.
Yeah.
Hi guys, and they'd yell, "Hi girls!" You know.
Well, you know what the problem with keeping the jail on the top floor of the Gurley Street location?
No.
People would go across the street and slingshot contraband
Yeah.
over the wire to the guys playing
Oh, I didn't know
basketball
that
out.
was
Oh
happening.
yeah.
Oh my goodness!
I said that's pretty creative because with that slope it wasn't 4 stories or
No,
3
no,
stories.
yeah.
If you went up
Yeah.
on the Union Street
Yeah,
side,
Right.
Union Streets. Yeah.
Right
you're
there.
just zapping that stage, just wrap it in some
there.
kind of pre-made rubber coating
Yeah,
projectile.
just something. Yeah.
Who do we have as out with petitions right now for City Hall?
I think there are
It's
5.
gonna-
I don't know.
It's going to be. I mean, it's going to be a real serious election. It's going to be very meaningful. You know, elections have consequences.
Right.
And everybody says, you know, well, this is a critical election. This is a critical
Yeah,
election.
this is the most important election in our lifetime.
Oh,
But-
you heard every.
But because of the budget problems they're looking at, because of the things that need to be done, the essential
we need
services
a basic services candidate.
council.
And we have
Absolutely.
one for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
His
Yeah.
name is Chad
Chad
DeVries.
DeVries.
Okay.
He is, and we've got another one actually. Ted Gambogi,
Yes.
the current chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission, is considering it.
Okay.
Vice chair. I think he's
Oh,
vice
he's
chair.
vice
I think
chair?
he's vice. Yeah.
And I would categorize him in a basic services guy.
Yeah,
Should
and
be
that's
interesting.
what we're going to need because you're going to have to put the focus on what the city needs to be doing. It's essential that they do those things. And I'm sorry, this chimerical wish list is got to go.
Chimerical.
Well, we're at five. We're at 5 seats on the
You also
council.
said
Mayor
plethora.
and plethora. Yeah. Wow. I tell you.
You ready for this one? Cum Deus vult perder prius dementat. Who the gods would destroy, they first make crazy.
Oh, wow.
And look at your elected officials and look at Washington, D.C. and tell me
That's good. I like
what's
that.
going on, right?
Emperor has no clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
You know what? Before we delve into anything further, we're going to take one last break on the radio side here on KYCA.
Oh, more to come?
More
Oh,
to come.
wow,
We've
great.
got another segment of the
Mordecai?
show.
Did you just say Mordecai?
No.
More to come.
Oh, what?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm really doing that now.
Okay, kids, we've got to take a break here on KYCA. Radio side, we'll be back, and if you're watching us, stay tuned. Oh, goodness. Okay, we're back here on the streaming side. What is with all of you today?
I don't know. Everybody
like
but
Phil.
everybody but me has spare parts.
I know,
I don't
know.
have any spare parts
Well,
yet, or
I was at a
replacement,
meeting. It
So-
said, "Oh, I couldn't hear
replacement
anything."
parts.
So here's my question. If we're talking Prescott City elections, we're talking
Yeah.
5 seats, the mayor and 4 seats,
Yeah.
a 2-year seat and 3 4-year seats. We know Steve Sischka is not going to run. I would say he's probably not going to run.
Yeah, he's running away.
Well, he's running away, yeah.
Well, he served 2 terms.
But we have Phil Good, who took out papers to run for mayor.
Yeah.
We have Kathy Roosing, I believe, who took out papers as well.
For
I did-
council.
For the
Yes.
council. And we're not sure on
Tenney?
Clark Tenney.
Oh, we didn't.
Although I
haven't
imagine
No, he's
I
not.
I would seriously doubt if he's running.
Me too.
Okay.
Is he up this time, or
Yes,
he
he's-
was
Yes.
appointed for the?
He was the
full
appointed for Billy Orr.
3-year term.
Billy.
And we're there.
Yeah, we
This
are.
is
We're
it.
there.
Okay, yeah.
So I guess my
And
question
Connie
is,
Cantalme is doing the
Yes.
right thing by running and letting the voters have the option of validating her appointment
For
by
two.
council, and that's exactly what you should do.
okay,
The
Then we got Chet-
appointments should always be to the next election.
Correct.
And let the voters validate.
correct.
And then Chad DeVries
Chad DeVries.
and another guy, I've never heard of him. I don't even know his name.
And we apologize. I can't remember it either, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to return to the radio and have a lightning round here for the last.
See, I was
for the
going to
last
look
session.
up. I was going to look up during the break who
I
the.
don't know.
All right, and we're back here on KYCA PM. Our final segment. Thank goodness. Bob Recker, Phil King, Malcolm Barrett Jr. You're all in detention, as far as I'm concerned. So let's make it a lightning round here. Very quickly, back to the city election. 5 seats, 1 mayor, 4 council. We already know that we have Phil Good, Kathy Rusing, Connie Cantalme for sure who are going to be running again. We've got various challengers. How many people are going to be running for mayor? And give me a good estimate as to council candidates. Are we going to have 2 for every seat at least?
That would be
I hope so.
ideal.
Yeah,
That
there
would
was that's what happened when I was running.
Yeah.
We
I
always
think
had 2 for
we're going to
everything.
have more than that.
Do you?
Yeah, and I do.
Okay.
I think by the time it comes out of the water, we're going to have 15 people running. By the time
And
we're
how
would
about
be-
for mayor?
that
For
would
everything.
Really would.
What about
2 or
mayor?
3 more
Three
at,
mayor,
at
4?
least 1 challenger.
at least 2, maybe 3.
Yeah.
A few days ago, somebody asked me what I thought of Phil Good, and I said he's the sane one.
Well, you know what? I don't care who you are on the council, but if you're on the council, it's hard to beat an incumbent. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, but although Prescott seems to have a adversity to having anybody on a council more than 2 terms. But Phil has been mayor 1 term. Kathy Rusing's been 1 term. Connie has been on for a year and a half.
Right.
So I mean,
Well,
no, there's
Phil started out with being, part of that whole STD group, and I think that support is kind of waning there.
Okay.
To save the Dells.
Save the Dells. Okay.
STDs.
I know.
Yeah.
Save the Dells. And,
Right.
I understand that. And yes, he was on council for 4 years, I believe, before that. And he was on planning and zoning.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he has served the community
I
for some
can't-
time.
I can't honestly think of another mayor in the history of the city who was elected directly off the city council. We've had mayors who've been on council, went away, and then came back and ran.
You know,
for
you're
mayor.
right.
Marlin was one of those.
Yeah.
Right.
But I can't think of another one who was elected directly from a council seat to the mayor's seat.
I can mention several, though, who were elected from P&Z to council.
Yes.
Sure.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
pretty common.
Sure.
Yeah,
I
and
did
that's
that.
that's a sensible thing because you have an understanding from P&Z where the city lies and what's going on.
And in spite of that, you run anyway.
Yeah, well,
And there it is.
some people did that, didn't they?
Yes. Okay. Around the table, Super Bowl predictions. We're in the championship this week. Super Bowls in 2 weeks, Bob.
Okay, Bengals versus Eagles
Okay.
for the championship, and the winner for their championships, and the winner of the Super Bowl will be the Eagles, Philadelphia.
That'll make John Rust happy.
That's
It will. Philadelphia over Cincinnati. Malcolm.
49ers are just too hot. I don't care who's on the other side of it.
Okay.
49ers are going to win it.
Nope.
Phil.
Like we said early on, I'm not about to predict a Super Bowl. I tell you, there's too
I'll
many
predict almost anything.
too many weird things happen at Super Bowls, and none of the teams play like themselves. They never do. They always switch strategies.
Do weird
the diff-
plays and stuff. you
Yeah,
mean?
the
you're right.
defenses do odd things.
Can anybody explain that last Cowboys play?
Forgot.
Can you
what?
explain
Forgot
that in
the
any
clock
concept
was,
at all with
Forgot
that?
the clock was running. It should have been to the end zone. Who knows?
What?
No,
what
no.
were they
Would they
thinking?
put everybody out and what's his name? Hike the ball.
Yeah, I
Would
know.
anybody, that,
You know, I watched
very
that
last play?
replay half a dozen times. I still
Yeah.
can't figure out why they
What
called
they were
that.
going to do. And they
I
never
think-
explained it.
Well, they thought they going to surprise everybody. He was going to run right up the middle for 70 yards.
I guess so.
Hey, you never
It's
know.
simple.
They
You never
don't
know.
have
Pass,
Tony
a lateral.
They don't have Tony Dorsett anymore, or
Yeah, well, the band refused to leave, whatever it is.
Me,
no.
I'll-
I'm not going to call it.
No?
But
Okay.
but
I want to hear what the host has to think.
I'll put you down for no.
Yeah.
No Super Bowl.
No Super Bowl?
Yeah, that's easy.
Maybe they'll take it away from Arizona for something again.
Yeah,
you know.
That could happen.
I wonder if they would have if Kerry Lake had been elected governor.
They might have, yeah.
Interesting question. Yes,
Well,
very
Abrams is still
interesting
in
question.
Georgia, so we're probably safe.
Interesting
Well, they
question.
pulled-
Well, what do you
pulled
think?
the
Who's going to win the
All-Star.
Super Bowl?
I make my same prediction as I do every year. With the score, as we go into the 6th overtime, with the score 0-0, and only a few thousand fans remaining, the commissioner finally wises up and says, just give it to the Bears, as it should be.
I hear an Illini speaking there.
Well, we have another subject, though.
Yes.
Who was nominated for Best Song?
Oh, please.
Oh, don't go.
Let's not go there. No Oscar talk. No. No Oscars. We're not talking the Oscars.
Jason shared an indie
Yeah,
video
I
with this.
Yeah.
saw it this
Mr.
morning.
Two
Yes, thank you
Heroes
very much.
doing a-
This was that Indian film, RRR, and don't ask, folks.
I don't want you want to know.
Okay.
Go to
you're-
your room. Go to your room, Felix. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess
That was
All
an
right.
odd couple. That was an odd couple
Oh,
moment.
you got
we've
that.
got what just okay. We've got 2 minutes left. I see the timer counting down.
Oh, good.
Oh yeah. Oh good.
Thankfully.
And I guess very quickly. All right. We've had some bad weather lately. We've had some good water into the state for the.
Over 4 inches, almost 3 times
Wonderful.
our normal January
Watson's
rainfall.
full.
Yeah.
It looks great.
Willow's getting full now too. I think they are full.
Do you get the feeling, especially if you three have been here for a long time? I don't pay attention to anything. It's just me. Do you feel that we're going to have a pretty big storm like we've had in the last few years before this winter is out?
Another
Always-
snowmageddon,
Yeah.
mid-February.
Yeah.
Always get an Easter storm.
Okay.
You know,
Interesting.
invariably, there's
But
always
I
a
think
storm
we're gonna.
right
I
at
think
Easter
we're gonna
time.
see another at least foot of snow.
I could live
That would be
with,
good.
I could
Yes.
live without it.
Flagstaff has the 4th highest snowfall season on record
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bob?
They're 5
It's-
feet.
I agree. I think that we've had now is, one good season does not a drought get rid of, but we're moving in that direction,
Does that
and it's
confuse
a
us?
very good season. Yeah.
No.
Well,
Confucius
say,
say
uh-oh, here we
it
go.
always rains after drought.
It does. Whereas confused just says what?
And you know what? With that, Malcolm gets the last word. That's it. And confused is right. Thanks for joining us on the KYCA PM show. We'll do this again next month. Or not.
We going to be regular with this thing? Or?
We'll see. But, folks, thank you very much. Have a good evening. We'll see you later. And we're off on the radio side, folks. Thank you for joining us. And on the streaming side, I don't know what you were thinking, or I was either, but here we are. So thank you, folks, for tuning in. Watch to your heart's content. And thanks, guys, for coming in.
Thank you.